at the end of May, I started planting a garden. So I have always had big dreams about having this cute little like U-cut flower patch, and I would never call it a farm because I really envision it being just like a little patch of my yard that I just plant with flowers, um, and then have a little like donation box or just free for the picking, whatever it may be. That's a dream of mine that I hold in my heart, and because I love flowers and I want to share them with everyone, I want to share that joy. So for the last couple of years, I have planted little bits of flowers, and nothing to the extent of a big flower you pick patch or anything like that, mostly because my space doesn't allow for that. But this year especially, and I don't know, maybe it's the craziness with the world that's going on and escalating food prices and all of that, but this year I decided that I was going to take my gardening up a notch. So I have these beautiful planter boxes that my husband has made for me, and we have planted more flowers than in the years past, but we've also started to plant some vegetables, which I have had very little experience with. So I went into this with doing some quick Google searches and trying to get a good grasp on the various vegetables and flowers that I planted. But honestly, I didn't have a ton of time to invest in the research part of it. So we're going to see what we get. But I was super encouraged by how quickly I saw some sprouts. So the cosmos that I planted and the zinnia seeds that I planted, those sprouted up so quickly, and it was really exciting. And not long after that, I saw little sprouts from my zucchini and my bush beans, and every little sprout I just got so excited about, and it seemed like it happened much quicker than I anticipated, because you always hear about the gardening process being long and drawn out, and so I kind of had like prepared my heart for that, and things happened quickly and I was so excited. But things have slowed down, and I find in my heart and in my mind that worry that's coming, that uneasiness, I guess is the right word that I'm looking for, like, why isn't this happening faster? I want zucchini. I want to see beans. I don't want to see little tiny little things, I want to see the fruit of my planting. And I think we need to be mindful of that. Like, as we grow gardens, some things can happen quickly, and then we may see, what we may think of as slow growth or no growth, it might even look like. And I think about that in some other aspects of my life. For instance, by design, like there are certain parts of the ministry that I wish would take off sooner than what they seem to be taking off. And it's been hard, because we'll get these wins, and I think to myself, oh, it's coming, the breakthrough, it's coming, it's here, it's at the cusp. And then there's the waiting, and I lose patience, and I start doubting, like, am I even in the right, am I on the right path? Am I doing what God has actually called me to do, or am I working on my flesh? All of those doubts start clouding what's happening, when really there's just growth that's slowly developing. And I think about there's a verse in I believe it's in 2 Peter. I'm going to read it here to you real quick. It's 2 Peter 3, and I'm going to start reading in verse 8, and it says, "But do not overlook this one fact, beloved, that with the Lord 1 day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is just 1 day." And then verse 9 goes on to say, "The Lord is not slow to fulfill his promise, as some count slowness." And wow, how convicting that was. Like, we think things aren't happening. We think progress isn't happening as quickly as it should at the rate that it is. And we start questioning God, like, God, are you here? Are you in this? What are you doing? Why aren't you making things happen? But he has a perfect plan, and he will fulfill those promises according to the days that he has outlined. And sisters, he knows the minute, he knows the day that I'm going to get a zucchini and I'll be able to pluck it off the plant and feed my family with it. He knows those days. He knows those days. Lately, we've been having a bit of some behavioral issues with some of my children, and the breakthrough there isn't happening as quickly as I want it to. You know, we're having the big conversations, we're going over and over things. We've been talking a lot about the fruit of the Spirit and how we're producing that in our day-to-day lives. But sometimes I feel like my words are not getting into their heads, and I'm just reminded that growth is happening, and while we may not see it, it's happening. And we just need to be patient in the endurance to win the race, because he's there and growth is happening despite our impatience and despite all the doubt that fills our heads when things don't happen according to our timeline. There is beauty in the patience.